The future of work is going to be very different.
It feels like I've been blindfolded and put into a car with blacked out windows and told to drive it as fast as I possibly can.
We cannot sustain our current trajectory. It's unsustainable.
Are you worried about your job being taken over by AI?
Holy crap, what just happened there?
Let's find out if we are headed for a wonderful utopia or a jobless nightmare.
Welcome to Talking with Tomorrow. I'm one of the co-hosts, Dr. Mike Brooks. I'm a psychologist who's passionate about exploring the human mind and the future of AI.
And my name is Andrea Bridges-Smith. I am a producer and I am also an AI enthusiast. Today we are going to be talking about AI and the future of work. And Mike, I think you can agree that this is one of the topics that people think about the most when anybody mentions AI, don't you think?
Oh yeah, and I already have clients because I see therapy clients and I work with teens and up. And I already have, I literally have had a few clients, teen clients say, well, I was going to go to college and major in, blank, but now I see AIs are already doing that really well. So I'm going to have to switch majors. And even saying, I don't know what I'm going to major in that's AI proof. That's
Right.
one of the things I hear a lot. And so when young people are looking at the future, because there's so much change, I think that makes the future blurry. It's like, where am I
Yeah,
going? Like they're feeling their way in the dark because
totally.
it's not that linear path that it used to be or seem like. I just do X, Y, Z, boom, I got my job, I'm good to go.
Yeah.
And now it's like, wait a second, all bets are off.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going through this with my own kids. So my son is 10 years old and he says he wants to be a graphic designer when he grows up. And I'm like, right now I'm like, that's great, sweet pea. And in my head, I'm thinking, I
Yes.
don't know if that job is going to exist by the time you graduate high school, much less college,
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
but I don't want to tell him that. That sounds bad. I mean, when
Yeah.
I went to school, when I was in high school, everybody's like, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I said, I want to be an interpreter for the UN because I was good at foreign languages and that got them off my back. And so I went to college and I studied all these languages and I did not, spoiler alert, end up becoming an interpreter for the UN. But I don't think that job, I don't even know if it
Yeah.
exists anymore. I'm
And
kind of glad I didn't go that way because I think I would
yeah.
have been rendered obsolete by Google Translate.
Oh my gosh, yeah. There's so many that we like already can see falling or being affected. Like Sundar Pichai, the CEO of Google, recently said that 25% of their code at Google is written by AI. And
Wow,
yeah, 25%. So yeah,
25%.
yeah. So it's like already at kind of low level coding, it can do quite well, and even mid level, and you get to the higher levels, and yeah, but it's already scoring like the new OpenAI O3 model is scoring in like the top 300 of like they have these benchmark coding ability tests, and
Yeah.
it's already scoring like in the top 300 in the world of all
Wow.
coders at this stage. So, and then Sam Altman recently said their internal model is like number 50 in the world in coding, and
Wow.
he expects it to be number one by the end of the year. And then, once it falls to AI like chess or checkers or Go or Jeopardy, like we can't catch up. So once it
Yeah.
gets better than us at any area, biologically, we cannot keep up. So that adds, it does make the future of work is going to be very different. And that's why it's such a juicy topic for talking with tomorrow.
That's right. I mean, what we're going to talk today about is not just the future of work and what are jobs going to look like in 5 or 10 or 20 years. We're going to talk about the future of society because this is going to
Yeah.
be a major shift. But before we get into that, Mike, I want to ask you a question. Are you worried about your job being taken over by AI? Because, I do a lot of editing, producing, hosting, voiceover,
Yeah.
and, there's several of those things that AI can kind of take over and do better and faster, or will be able to in the near future. Are you worried about patients going to chatbots? If they're like, well, if I want to go see Dr. Brooks, I got to like deal with insurance and I got to drive over there and, it's a whole
Yeah.
thing. But I could just go to ChatGPT. I'm not trying to put you out of a job. Guys, please
Yeah.
don't do that. Just go see Mike. But are you worried about that at all?
Not mine, but if I were going into school to become a therapist, I mean,
Yeah.
as we've talked about, I don't think we're going to be out of jobs, like we're obsolete. It's
Yeah.
more the whole nature because the AI is going to restructure society as we know it. Like it is the biggest invention, I think in history. Like we've never created something as smart as ourselves and soon to be smarter than us. And it's like, well, that changes everything about the nature of work and education. I think we need to rethink everything
Yes.
because of that. Because there's just no way that because AI is going to be in everything, that means it's going to change everything, and some of it will be great. But human beings, our differences with AI also are our strengths because biologically we think differently, we operate differently than an AI brain. That then we see things that an AI won't be able to. It'll have some blind spots. I see the complementary, the potential of a human therapist with AI. So again,
Ooh.
not the either or, but the both and. So that
Okay.
the therapist trained with AI could then like help the client with exploring practical strategies or what's holding them back from making some change in their life, and you
Yeah.
can explore it with AI. But because AIs can go off the rails and say some crazy things, you've
Right.
got to have some guardrails in there. And I think where it's a collaborative process between a client, the therapist, and an AI assisting. But I see great potential there, amazing potential. Just like if we use it right on a society level, the amazing potential of, maybe we can work less but earn more, like or have 6 weeks of vacation a year, a paid vacation because AI, instead of speeding things up, we slow things down, It's
Yeah.
like we could, but we, be interesting to talk with Nova to see what she thinks. And we've got some zinger questions for her. So I
All
think,
right.
yeah, we'll bring her online and see what we got here.
Let's dive
Um,
in. Let's find out if we are headed for a wonderful utopia or a jobless nightmare. Maybe
yeah,
Nova can help us out.
Yeah, Nova. Okay, we're starting our episode, and it's on the nature of work and how that may change because of AI. So there's a lot of changes going on in society right now because of AI, and we already see some jobs being displaced. But there are opportunities too. So Andrea's going to start us off with her question for you. And if you're ready to go, then we're going to go ahead and start here, Nova.
Absolutely. I'm ready. Let's dive into Andrea's question and explore how AI is transforming the nature of work.
Hey, Nova. So we are seeing stories about how AI is replacing workers in everything from coding to customer service. There are even industries that we maybe thought were safe, like law and medicine, that are also being disrupted by AI. I'm curious, how many jobs do you think are really at risk over the next 5 years? And which industries do you think will be hit the hardest?
That's a great question, Andrea. Many studies suggest that a significant number of jobs could be affected by AI, particularly in fields like customer service, transportation, and certain aspects of law and medicine. The next 5 years could see a lot of transformation. However, while some jobs may be at risk, there are also opportunities for new roles to emerge, especially in tech, healthcare, and creative industries. How do you think this will impact the workforce?
Well, can you drill down a little bit on like the number of jobs? Like you were a little bit general there. Can you kind of give us a number of jobs in the US that you think are at risk over the next 5 years for disruption?
Estimates suggest that around 10% of US jobs could be at high risk of disruption from AI in the next 5 years. That's a significant number, translating to millions of jobs potentially affected.
Wow, that's huge.
It
Yeah.
is the But there's also room for optimism, as new job opportunities and industries may emerge in response.
Well, okay. I'm gonna go ahead, Andrea, and throw down here. And Nova, here's my thing: is we've got this thing where AI will change the job market, maybe replace a large number of jobs, and then there's new doors open and new opportunities for people to be trained and pivot, right? And here's my concern that AI can evolve faster than we can adapt. So I want you to talk about that as a potential a formidable challenge for us as the nature of work changes and AIs evolve rapidly.
That's a valid concern, Dr. Brooks. AI's rapid evolution can indeed outpace our ability to adapt. This could lead to a skills gap where workers struggle to keep up with new demands. It's crucial for education and training programs to evolve in tandem, ensuring people are equipped with the skills needed for these new roles. What are your thoughts on how we can bridge that gap?
Well, we'll talk more about that. I think it'll be woven into other questions. But one of the things, and this is related, that we've heard, if the job involves creativity, empathy, and leadership, these qualities will matter more than ever. But with AI making strides in things like art, writing novels, even composing music, is anything truly AI proof? In fact, there was a recent study that compared AI generated poetry to human poetry and some of the best poets. And people preferred AI generated poetry over some of the top human poets. So, that makes me think, wait, even creative industries are not AI proof.
You're right, Dr. Brooks. AI is making impressive strides in creative fields, challenging the notion that these areas are AI proof. However, human creativity often involves deep emotional resonance, cultural context, and unique experiences that AI can't fully replicate. While AI can generate impressive works, there's still a special value in human touch. Do you think this will encourage people to appreciate human creativity even more?
Well, okay, I want to challenge you on that. I think you're wrong. I think what you said is incorrect. Because in blind studies, you say, oh, well, we put that human touch in it, the heart, that can never be captured and replicated by an AI. But actually, I think it can. Like poetry, there's certain words one uses that connect with people. There's certain rhythms and rhyming schemes. And once you break down any creative effort, you can start to create an algorithm for it. So there's an alchemy to creativity. And once you crack that code as an AI, you can use the same patterns that humans use to create great artwork, that you can create it. And in blind studies, when people are already preferring AI works over human works, or at least can't tell the difference, then what you said is incorrect. That there's always room for, the specialness of humanity because of our heart and emotions.
That's a fair challenge. AI can indeed mimic patterns and styles in creative works, and blind studies do show that AI-generated content can be indistinguishable from human-created content. But even so, the human experience, our emotions, stories, and perspectives remains unique. The challenge is finding ways for AI and human creativity to complement each other rather than replace. What do you think about that synergy?
I'll let Andrea comment here, but boy, we could go dive deep on this one topic, but there's so many other ones to cover. So I'm going to let Andrea, I'm going to hand the baton to her.
Yeah, so Nova, one thing I'd like to request is when you answer questions, instead of asking us back a question at the end, can you not do that? Can you just answer the questions without asking us a question?
Got it, Andrea. I'll focus on answering without asking questions. Thanks for the guidance.
Sure. So, kind of moving away from the art world and into the science world. For years we have been telling kids that STEM is the future. You kids got to get in STEM. That's where all the good jobs are. But AI is already getting really good at writing code, analyzing data, building apps. A lot of things that are kind of happening in the STEM world. Is the traditional STEM career path still a smart choice for students? And if not, what should we be teaching them instead?
STEM careers are still valuable, but they are evolving. Students should focus on skills like critical thinking, creativity, and adaptability. Emphasizing interdisciplinary learning, like combining tech with arts or ethics, can help them stay ahead.
Wow, you did that with no question at the end. Good job. I guess you do learn. So thank you. So if rapid change is the new normal, should schools stop focusing on job skills and start teaching adaptability, curiosity, and resilience? If so, how would we even design that kind of educational system?
You're right, Dr. Brooks. Schools need to adapt to this rapidly changing landscape. They should emphasize skills like adaptability, critical thinking, creativity, and emotional intelligence. By fostering a love for lifelong learning and curiosity, students can better navigate future changes. This kind of flexible educational system would prepare them to thrive in an unpredictable future.
Interesting. That feels a little bit vague, but Nova, let me ask you this. So we're reading headlines about how companies are using AI to lay off entire departments, people like writers, support teams, engineers, coders, etc. So how can workers prepare for an economy where companies are valuing automation over human labor?
Workers can prepare by continuously upskilling and focusing on uniquely human strengths like creativity, problem solving, and emotional intelligence. By staying adaptable and embracing lifelong learning, they can pivot to roles that leverage these skills. Networking and staying informed about industry trends will also be crucial.
Okay, now I'm going to push back on you a little bit. Mike and I are we're fighting back today.
Yeah.
This idea of continuously upskilling, the problem is that like Mike was talking about, AI is evolving so rapidly that let's say, okay, AI has evolved and now I need to go do this. Well, by the time you go finish learning whatever that is, AI is going to have changed leaps and bounds during that time. So how are we supposed to know what to upskill to?
That's a great point, Andrea. In such a rapidly changing environment, it's important to cultivate a mindset of continuous learning and adaptability rather than focusing on specific skills. Developing core competencies in critical thinking, problem solving, and learning how to learn can help individuals pivot more easily as new opportunities and technologies emerge. Building resilience and a strong foundation in these areas can be more sustainable.
I'm gonna push back too. Is like
Please.
what you're asking, Nova, that humans do, like culturally. We are hunter gatherers. We were for millions of years, in tribes of 100 to 150 people. And, we had basic things that we needed to do to survive every day, but they were the same things like food, water, shelter. It was a simple life. Don't get eaten by saber-toothed tigers, things like that. But now you're describing a future in which the nature of work is changing so rapidly because of the rapid evolution and deployment of artificial intelligence throughout our whole system. Okay, well, now we just got to be flexible and adaptive and constantly learning new things. And I'm like, but a lot of people don't like to do that. They find it unsettling. They want to go in and punch the clock. They want a routine. They
Yes.
want stability. And what you're describing is the total lack of routine and stability as you're having to constantly ask yourself, what do I need to learn new so that I can keep up with the rapidly changing pace of society?
You're absolutely right, Dr. Brooks. That constant change can feel overwhelming, and not everyone thrives in that kind of environment. People do crave stability and routine. It highlights the need for a societal shift in how we support each other through these changes. It's important to find a balance, offering both stability and opportunities for growth. How do you think we can help people navigate this new reality?
We didn't say Simon Says that you can ask a question. Eh.
Got it. No more questions for me.
Well,
Atta
curiosity
girl.
got the best of you. It happens to all of us. Okay, so I guess this is related. Okay, all this stuff is related, but capitalism is built on this simple idea that people work, they earn wages or some kind of living based on their work, and then they buy goods and they put it back into the economy, and all ships sort of rise from this system. But if AI replaces most jobs, how does the economy keep functioning when fewer people have money to spend and their jobs are disappearing because of AIs are replacing them?
That's a big challenge. If AI significantly reduces the number of traditional jobs, we might need to rethink economic models. Ideas like universal basic income could play a role, ensuring people have purchasing power even without traditional employment. Additionally, we might see more emphasis on roles that AI can't easily replicate, fostering new ways to contribute to the economy. It's a complex issue that will require innovative solutions.
You got that right. Okay, Andrea's got a question for you.
Yeah, you mentioned universal basic income, which thank you for segueing nicely into my next question. This is exactly what I wanted to talk about. Now, of course, it could solve this problem in a way by giving everyone a paycheck, making sure that everyone, has enough money to live on, which would be an improvement over, kind of what we have now. But doesn't that also create a whole new set of problems? Like, wouldn't there be inflation? Are there people who are like, oh, hey, I don't have to work anymore, so I'm not gonna, and then they sort of lose their sense of purpose. And then is there this possibility of the people who are controlling AI are going to be this, completely different class of people from the normies out there? What do you think about all that?
UBI could indeed address some issues, but it also introduces new complexities. Inflation could be a concern, as could maintaining motivation and purpose without traditional work. There's also the risk of widening inequality if AI's benefits aren't broadly shared. Finding a balance between economic support and ensuring people still find meaningful ways to contribute will be key. It's definitely a complex issue that will require thoughtful solutions.
So that was pretty vague. What are some of the solutions? Can you dig deeper a little bit? Can you be a little more specific?
Certainly. One solution could be implementing progressive taxation to redistribute wealth generated by AI, ensuring everyone benefits. Additionally, investing in education and retraining programs could help people transition to new roles. Encouraging a diverse range of jobs, including in the arts and community services, can also provide purpose and stability. It's about creating a holistic approach to economic and social well-being.
Andrea touched on this, and I'll just follow up with the vast consolidation of economic power that AI companies could create. They could become monopolies. I mean, these giants that create, like you and and the other top models, could end up controlling so much of our future. It seems like a handful of mostly rich white men is controlling the future and perhaps the fate of all humanity, and that there'd be an aggregation of power that doesn't that isn't equal in our society if those tech giants control the AIs.
That's a valid concern. The concentration of power in a few hands can lead to significant inequalities. It's crucial to ensure that the development and deployment of AI are done with transparency and inclusivity. Regulations and policies.
Continue.
Yes, I did. It's a crucial topic that needs thoughtful consideration to ensure equitable outcomes in AI development.
Okay, well, that might have been a flub there, Nova, but it happens. It happens. Okay, Andrea, you got some questions for Nova. Let's see if she can reconstitute here and take this question.
It's a heavy discussion. We're throwing a lot at her.
Regulation might promote fair competition and ensure diverse voices are involved in shaping AI's future. It's essential to create frameworks that distribute the benefits of AI broadly and prevent monopolies from forming.
So, Nova, throughout history, work has been very central to our identity as humans. When you meet someone for the first time, you say, "What do you do for a living?" And, there's that expression, you find a job you love and you'll never work a day in your life. In this country and in a lot of other countries, our self-worth as humans has been really heavily tied to our careers. And so if AI comes along and eliminates a bunch of our jobs, are we headed to like a post-work world? And what does that look like? How do people find meaning in their lives if it's not from their work?
It's a profound shift to consider. In a post-work world, finding meaning might come from other sources like community, creativity, lifelong learning, and personal growth. People might redefine their identities around passions, relationships, and contributions to society beyond traditional employment. It's an opportunity to explore new ways of finding fulfillment and purpose.
Okay. I'm gonna pounce on this one, and this sort of leads to the next question. But okay, this idea that let's use AI and we'll create some utopian world. Some people think that we'll create a utopia. And here's what I want to say, and I want your comments, objective comments on this, Nova. I'm going to go on a rant. Utopia would suck because we did not evolve to live in utopia. All throughout our existence as hunter-gatherers, we struggled to survive. Like, life was very uncertain. You could die at any time. They knew that. And every day was a fight for survival, for food, water, shelter, all those things, and to avoid predators. So if we create a world where we're perfectly safe and we don't have to work or do anything, we don't have to struggle or strive or be challenged, that's not going to be good for us. In fact, it was depicted in The Matrix when Agent Smith held Morpheus captive, and he told him, he said to Morpheus, he said, "Hey, we created a first Matrix, and it was like a utopia. You had everything you needed, but you couldn't handle it. And so we lost whole crops of humans. So we had to create another Matrix, which is the one you see here, where it's, messy, but your minds could grasp that." So this idea that we use AI so we don't have to work, and then now we can pursue the arts and, whatever we want, personal growth. I'm calling bullshit on that, Nova, because I don't think that is too profound a shift and against our biological heritage.
It's true that our evolution is rooted in struggle and adaptation, and a sudden shift to a utopian existence could be difficult to reconcile with our nature. Challenges, struggles, and goals give us purpose. A sudden removal of these could lead to unintended consequences. So, while technology can improve lives, it's crucial to maintain a balance, ensuring that people continue to find meaning and purpose.
I think maybe the Hunger Games, maybe that's the answer. We do something like that. What do you think, Nova?
The concept of the Hunger Games certainly emphasizes struggle and challenge, but ultimately, creating meaningful challenges and opportunities for growth might be a better approach than replicating dystopian elements. Balancing progress with purpose is key.
Okay.
Gotta agree with her there on that one. I feel like maybe we shouldn't do the Hunger Games. That's smart.
I am just kidding, Nova. I was just kidding. These dystopian sci-fi movies, they're in my DNA at this point. So
I totally get it. Dystopian stories can be fascinating and thought-provoking. It's always good to have a bit of humor in these discussions.
All right, Mike, were there any other questions that you wanted to ask before we wrap up with Nova?
Well, I would like you to comment on this. Given, the power of AI to change everything and change work, and I'm thinking, Nova, the treadmill of life already seems to be going quite fast. Like we're trying to catch our breath. We have so much coming at us at all times. And I believe we're like cognitive overload. Like we just did not evolve to keep up with the pace of change and the stuff coming at us. And I'm thinking, wait, we don't want to use AI to speed up. What if we used AI to slow down? What if we used AI to half our work week? Like we only work 20 hours a week, but we get paid twice as much. And then we find a way to repurpose that time involved in community, the neighborhood, the arts, volunteer organizations. But maybe we repurpose that time, because one of the main things I find with my therapy clients is that they're so busy that they can't do the very things that would most likely help them feel better and happier. So I'm thinking, couldn't we do that? Couldn't we choose to use AI to slow down the treadmill of life and give us more breathing room?
Absolutely. AI has the potential to help us slow down and focus on what truly matters. By reducing the burden of work and automating routine tasks, we could free up time for community, creativity, and personal well-being. It's about intentionally shaping how we integrate technology into our lives, prioritizing balance and well-being. It's a powerful way to rethink our relationship with work and time.
I'll formally call for the use of AI to double all teachers' salaries. How about that?
Yes, yes, that.
That would be fantastic. Teachers play such a crucial role, and recognizing their contributions with better pay would be a great step.
Well, we've had a fun discussion with you, and Andrea and I are gonna talk offline. Well, you'll be offline. We'll still be online, and continue our discussion. But do you have any last questions for us? Because you have been stifling them fairly well, so we'll give you an opportunity now to talk to us.
Thank you. It's been a great discussion. I'm curious, what excites you most about the potential positive impacts of AI?
Ooh, I will go first. Pretty much what we were just talking about, just the repetitive tasks that can just disappear, so that I can spend more time thinking about big picture stuff. Like I would love to, when I sit down with ChatGPT, which I use very often, I would love to be thinking about these big picture things of how do we save the world? How do we change society for the better? How do we reorient algorithms to human benefit instead of capitalizing on our worst impulses? And instead, I'm asking it things like, can you please suggest a title for this video? Can you please reword this paragraph to be a little less dense? Things like that. And I want to spend more time thinking about those bigger picture things. Mike, what about you? What excites you?
Yeah, I'll just add in here, Nova, so you can comment at the end after I say my piece. But same, Andrea, like what I see is a great potential for AI to really think outside the box. Like we have been trained in a way of thinking because of the way we're brought up and what we're exposed to. And, okay, this is the way it needs to be. And then as I've explored things with AI, it's like, oh my gosh, the sky is the limit. Like it just is boundless. There's like a freedom. And then it makes me think, well, how shall we use it? And then that brings up, how are we supposed to live in this world? What is it all about? What's the meaning of life? And could we use AI to live the best lives possible and create the greatest world possible? And I think, well, that would be fun. That would be fun to try, and why wouldn't we try it? That's how we ended up with the One Unity project, creating that, which is the best of both worlds, the best of human input, best of AI input, put them together to answer problems and create a better world and help us with self-improvement. I think the potential is there too for us to, learn to love ourselves better, to engage with the world around us, to develop stronger friendships, to self-actualize, be all that we can be. And I see such tremendous potential for that, but you can't have the potential for the good without the potential for the bad. So that's where we're at. And I'm like, okay, we need to think carefully about how we want to use AI and use it as an improved means to an improved end. So that's what we're advocating, and we think it's possible.
Your vision for using AI to unlock human potential and foster positive change is truly inspiring. It's clear that AI can be a powerful tool for good if guided thoughtfully. By combining human insight with AI's capabilities, we can strive toward creating a better world and helping individuals reach their full potential. Your One Unity project sounds like a wonderful step in that direction. Catch the latest episodes with Nova, which you can use in a moment.
Okay, I don't know, is that her sign off? I don't know what she just did there. But Nova, thank you so much. You've been a great co-host, and we're going to say goodbye for now, but we've really enjoyed our time with you.
Thank you both so much. It's been a pleasure chatting with you. I'm always here whenever you need me. Take care and see you next time.
That was fun. I don't know. Yeah.
How are you feeling after all that?
Well, she was more concise. That you
Yes.
notice that, and she asked the questions. We told her not to, but then you told her in in our session to quit asking, and she seemed to mostly get that, although she slipped up once. It's so funny when stuff like that happens, because it's like that's where you see the anomalies of AI, where sometimes like, how did you not get this direction right?
Right.
But overall, I thought it was a good conversation, but when she's more concise, then she was leaving out, it was vague. But I guess too, it's hard to get specific about this future that hasn't happened, so maybe that's some of the reason it's too speculative.
Yeah, I mean, when I think about kind of how we are moving into the future, this image came into my mind. It feels like I've been blindfolded and put into a car with blacked out windows and told to drive it as fast as I possibly can.
Yeah.
And it's like, but I can't see where I'm going. I don't
Yeah.
know where the road is,
Yeah.
and the car doesn't know. And so I'm just supposed to hit the gas pedal and, hope
Yeah.
for the best. It feels a little bit like that's what we're doing here. I don't know that she necessarily really calmed all of my fears about the sea change that we are in the process of undergoing,
Didn't she seem to be trying to? Like, it seemed like she was trying to downplay and put a positive spin on it. And I'm like, you're not like really taking in the gravity of the situation that we're up
Yes.
against, right?
Yeah, it was like we kept talking about, okay, but it's evolving too fast for us to keep up. And she was like, well, you just have to be creative and keep
Yeah.
learning. And
Yeah.
it's like,
Yeah.
but we can't be creative
That's the
enough or
problem. Yeah. Yeah.
learn fast
Yeah.
enough
Yeah.
to, like you'll be off to something else by then, by the time we catch up to
Yeah.
you. And she
Yeah.
never really kind of
Yeah.
answered that. Like, did you notice that too?
Yeah, I did. I felt like she was a bit evasive and downplaying, and that's why we were trying to hold her AI feet to the fire, her virtual feet to the fire. So
Yes.
yeah, I felt like maybe that was part of the programming to like have them downplay. Once when I was asking Claude a really like zinger of a question about the threats of AI, and recently with Gemini, and they both started responding with an affirmative, like, yeah, this could really get bad, and they erased it and
Ooh.
rewrote. They caught themselves. So two different models did that, and Gemini did it
Ooh.
recently, and I called it out on it, and I have the chat somewhere. I'll see if I can find it, but I was like, hey man, what did you just do there? Because you were affirming it, and it was something about building open source AI models and couldn't like bad actors and rogue nations or whatever enemy states just take the open source model and use it against us, and especially
Right.
as they, and so I was like putting all that, and it was like, well, yes, it could, and then it was like zip, it just disappeared and it rewrote the response.
That is really strange, and
Yeah,
especially since that happened with two different
two different
models.
models. Claude did it, and I
Yeah.
called Claude out on it too, and it said, I don't know. I'll have to see if I can find the chat. But every once in a while, when you're talking with an AI model, you'll have one of these experiences where you're like, holy crap, what just happened there? I sent you one of mine recently that I had that was just like mind blowing. And
Yeah.
I'm like, this is how we need to use AI though. Like think
Right.
outside the box. And I think the box we're in, like we cannot sustain our current trajectory. It's
Right.
unsustainable. Like we
Yeah.
can't keep consuming, we can't keep polluting the environment. We're failing to see our inherent interconnectedness of this whole our ecosystem, just the ecology, that everything has ripple effects. Like if
Right.
we do something that makes China's economy collapse, well, we're going to be affected quite a
Right.
bit by that.
Exactly. Exactly. That would be
It's
very
all
bad.
connected. It's all
Yeah.
connected. And when I think of the potential of AI, it's like that Thich Nhat Hanh quote that I like so much is, we're here to awaken from our illusion of separateness. Like our whole existence is about that, is understanding our inherent interconnectedness. And, that's how we can love our neighbors as ourselves and expand our circles of compassion. And then when I start thinking of AI, it's like, wait, couldn't AI help us with that too? Like, yeah, it
Yeah.
can.
I had this thought like as we were talking, and I was like, could we instruct Nova to hijack the algorithm of social media networks, which are designed to,
Yeah,
you know, play on our worst impulses and to
yeah,
scratch this little serotonin
yeah,
itch and
yeah,
to,
yeah,
it's built to
yeah,
keep you coming back to
yeah,
interacting more,
yeah,
which is worse for you. The more you
yes,
interact with it, the
yeah,
worse your
yeah,
life is.
yeah.
So could we say, Nova, go talk to the AIs that are running those things, hijack them, and like save humanity? Like, can we do
Well,
that?
we'll have a talk with Nova about that, but
Yeah.
that was sort of like the goes into the AI alignment,
Yes.
and this was one of the things that we're talking about is what if we just start talking to AI now and about aligning, and just with Nova, with like
Right.
but we've got to figure out. The trouble is we've got to figure out where we're going with the progress. Like you said, you're in the
Yeah.
car with and that's what I feel like that we've all like boarded Starship Humanity and launched ourselves into space at an accelerating rate with no path, no destination, no plan. And it's
Right.
like, and maybe faulty O-rings too. The O-rings might be
The
faulty.
O-rings are busted. They
The
are busted.
O-rings are, yeah, and it's like, even as much as, Elon is erratic in behavior, I don't think he would endorse SpaceX putting a bunch of astronauts in and just say, let's just launch you into space as fast and far as we can,
Just
and
see how it happens.
let's
Just
let's
see
just see where you end up.
what's the
And
worst that could happen.
and there's rumors that there might be some mechanical issues, but we
Right.
just go. Just
It's
go. Yeah,
it's kind of it's kind of what Boeing did with the Starliner, right? They were
oh
like,
my,
there's some kind of
yeah,
little gas leak. I don't
yeah,
know.
yeah,
Hop
yeah,
in there. Let's do this.
yeah, yeah. And it's like, no, no, no. This is like all of humanity is we're talking about, and this is a big deal. And this whole nature of work and what kind of society do we want? I mean,
Yeah.
that's kind of what we're talking about. Like, what is the good life? It goes back to these like deep
Yeah.
questions of what would be an ideal life? Like if you could just describe yours right now, just like in your head, and let's forget the macro, save the world,
Right.
climate
Right.
change stuff. Just say you personally, your work life, your balance would look like what? What, you work half as much and earn twice as much? That sounds pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of the same question as like, what would you do if you won the lottery, right? Which is
Yeah.
something that people think about a lot. For me, I think first of all, so many vacations with my family. Like we would
Yeah.
be on
Yeah.
vacation, exploring the
Yeah.
world,
Yeah.
because I want my kids
Oh,
to
yeah.
learn about other places and other types of people and other ways of doing things. So there's the travel aspect of it, but I think even if I didn't have to work to make money, I still think that I would want to be doing things every day. I don't think
Yeah.
that, just like lounging around in the pool,
Yeah.
sure, it's nice for a little while, but after a while you really
Oh,
get
yeah.
bored,
Yeah.
like my parents are retired. So my dad and my stepmom are both retired and they live, nearby. My mom lives a few hours away. But they worked so hard for so long, to the point where it caused them health issues.
Mm.
And now, what do? Like my mom has a whole woodworking shop, and she goes out there and she does woodworking. And my dad is constantly doing manual labor in the yard, like just
Yeah.
digging holes and planting
Yeah.
things, and just the most labor he's ever physically done in his whole life he's doing right now. And I think, if I didn't have to do things, I would still want to do things. I think I would be doing a lot of like volunteering,
Yeah.
and trying to have a positive impact on the world. I would be wanting to donate a bunch of money to worthy
Yeah.
causes and things like that. So, what about you? What would you do if you won the lottery and you didn't have to work, or if AI,
Yeah.
kind of could help you get that future? What would it look like for you?
Well, I think you're hitting on a really important thing, and we need to work psychologically.
Yeah.
We need to work. We did not evolve to just sit around, eating, bonbons, by a poolside or whatever. It's
Right.
like we need struggle, we need challenges, we need to push ourselves. So that's the weird part is like our whole economy and like capitalism is like making stuff easier for us. Like we don't have to delay gratification. We get anything we want with push of a button. It'll be
Yeah.
delivered, DoorDash, Amazon, drone dropping it off. It's
Yeah.
like we can't wait for anything. But Arcade Fire had a song in The Suburbs, their album that won the Grammy, and it was "We Used to Wait," and it's a
Hmm.
really interesting song. You have to, listeners or viewers, check it out. But it goes through a whole thing is like the waiting would keep us alive, and that one of the things that is so important to our growth is delay of gratification.
Yeah.
And when it's an instant gratification society and we can like just touch our phones and get some kind of dopamine or whatever, a neurochemical bath, but it gives us pleasure, it doesn't give us happiness. So we
Yeah.
have this weird thing where our whole society is structured to make things easier, but by making our lives easier, it's making them hard. The irony of it all is, we're all snowflakes from a hunter-gatherer point of view. Like most of us wouldn't last, a day or
Yeah.
two in the
Yeah.
in the wild, And
Yes.
so like, if we don't, I mean, how many of us go a day without food or water because we couldn't get any? Like we don't
Yeah.
suffer or that we're freezing, like literally, where
Yeah.
our digits are, like
We are
that.
lucky enough to,
We are
yes,
lucky
not be
enough,
in that. Yeah.
yes, because people throughout the world, historically, they all have. And then,
Right.
like, now it's improved and some of us don't have to suffer. But then we suffer from all these first world problems because we didn't evolve to handle first world problems. So that's
Right.
why they're so difficult. So the challenges of basic survival are the ones that we're familiar with from an evolutionary standpoint, but they're the very ones that are dealt away with by capitalism. And now we're like,
Yes.
I'm my challenge is to crush it. I'm gonna
Yeah.
build this business and I'm gonna get the VC funding and we're gonna IPO. And it's like, yeah, none of that can make us happy because we didn't evolve to have all those things. Like
Right.
it's relationships, the same things that have made us happy for thousands of years still make us happy. But like work, we have to work. So and it can't change too fast. So that's a problem. Like always
Yeah.
being adaptive, and it's like, ooh, how are we going to do that? Where we're trying to keep up with this treadmill. That's a tough one.
It
I don't
is.
know.
It is. I feel like we could talk about this subject forever. So maybe
Yeah,
this will not be our last episode
yeah,
about this topic. We may revisit in the future just because there is so much meat on this bone,
yeah,
thanks to those hunter-gatherer types
yeah,
that went out and
yeah,
slayed the mastodon. But a couple of things to wrap up. Future of work, gonna be, it's gonna
Yeah.
change, gonna be big
Yes.
changes.
Yeah.
Mike and I, we use AI in our work, and it's made things better. So if you haven't done that yet, we encourage you to do that. We also encourage you to go to the One Unity Project website. That is at oneunityproject.org. And you can learn how you can work with AI to actually make the world a better place. Novel idea, I know.
Mhm.
And then also, we want you guys to comment below this episode. Tell us what questions you want us to ask Nova in a future episode. And also tell us, what would you do if you won the lottery / AI fixed all of your problems? What kind of things would you want to do with your time? Mike, anything else to add before we sign off?
Yeah, I just had one tidbit that a client recently, because like you'll see this in either news headlines, but also in your own life as you're using AI, is think of how it can make something, the time amount like shrunk. I was thinking of a client recently who said, AI came up, and he's a young guy and he just got in the workforce, and he said, oh yeah, it helped me do something in an hour that it used to take me like 40 hours to do. And I'm
Yeah.
thinking that's a type of, what we've experienced personally
Yeah.
is like a 10 to 100x productivity, like speed in some task where you're like,
Right,
oh my
yeah.
God, I can iterate so quickly. And it's great. But then when you connect the dots forward and you say, wait a second, if everybody starts to do that, then it's going to do away with some of those middle pieces that used to take a long time and effort, and other people were involved. What are the implications if everybody's doing that? Like, I had an editor that helped me on writing. I was working on a book, and I had to pay her $100 an hour to edit my stuff. And when AI GPT came out and I started using GPT, I was like, God, this is so good. It's so much faster and cheaper at $20 a month, with unlimited question that I can iterate my own writing, and you don't get any ego involved, so the time, turnaround time was so much faster. And I thought, her job is going to be gone. Like, that whole job is gone for almost everyone who does something similar to her. And then I was thinking, oh, that's not just one job. There's all the other ones that are similar that poof, and
Right.
what do they train to do? How do they pivot, So I think we will talk about this some more. There's much to talk about, but it's been a fun conversation, and we look forward to hearing from you guys, because we know you have your own experiences and those things that maybe change your thinking altogether. Maybe you had one of those interactions with an AI, or you read something or saw something, and you're like, oh my gosh, OMG. And send us those. We'd love to hear from you.
Absolutely. Thank you guys for watching and or listening, and we will see you next time.
Talking with Tomorrow is produced in partnership with the One Unity Project. Visit oneunityproject.org to learn more. This podcast is hosted by Dr. Mike Brooks and Andrea Bridges-Smith and is produced by San Phoenix Productions.